You know, sometimes I sit down and I think about this strange occurrence of how Concord actually improved my art. Hey everybody, Sean here. Today I just wanted to revisit some old art pieces, as well as a glimpse at some new ones, in regards to what I learned over the discourse about the video game Concord. Now, I say the word video game lightly because it's no longer a video game because it's been delisted. You can no longer purchase it anywhere. Just for a quick backstory, Concord was a live service hero shooter that came out in 2024 at the end of August. Now, before its actual debut, it also went into a beta test where people played it for free, and the numbers weren't that great at the time. When the game finally dropped in August, let's just say there weren't enough players to keep this live service game alive. Now, there are many different factors as to why that was the case, but one of the major factors was the actual character design. Nobody really liked it, at least not enough people liked it to get into the game, because as you know, a game is a visual medium and people have to look at these characters. Now, the game was first person, but they do have to look at the other characters that they're battling in the middle of this hero shooter. People called the designs atrocious, horrendous, and yeah, it was pretty bad. Now, it had some other problems, like the developers I guess lashing back at people who had criticism, and yeah, it began to be an entire whole mess. It also didn't help that the game came out the exact same week that Black Myth Wukong came out, and that game did big numbers, okay? And Concord got overshadowed, as well as another game called Dustborn, which nobody liked, almost for the exact same reasons that they didn't like Concord, and those games kind of dipped under. However, unlike Dustborn, Concord needed to stay afloat because it's a live service game, and live service is dependent on having player numbers. After a while, much to people's surprise, or maybe not surprise, the game was delisted and refunds were issued. It didn't last 2 weeks. In under 2 weeks, the game was just taken offline, and nobody can actually play this game now because it now no longer exists. Now, I'm wondering if anybody has the original console disc, if that's some kind of a valuable item. Now, with that out of the way, why Concord and what is the relation to art, you may ask? Well, the designs were perceived so badly that there were a bunch of artists, pro and indie artists, just picking apart the designs, figuring out why it doesn't work, and what could be done to make it look better. And I gotta say, it was really informative because a lot of these people made me think about things that I actually should have thought about a long time ago in the realms of character design. And it actually sticks with me since last August and the subsequent months where the designs were being picked apart. Now, I will have to say, I myself did throw my hat in the Concord redesign ring for fun. And that was a little bit of controversy. If you are subscribed to my React and Draw channel, you may have seen a video where I had to clear something up in regards to Concord. I did a redesign of Amari from Concord, this lovable character that you see here. I decided to tackle her because, to be honest, of all the trailers that they had for all the characters, she was the most cringe.
Nothing's getting past me. Look at me. What'd you think would happen? Ha ha! Jabam! Ooh, makes me want to dance.
Now, long story short, after I did my super quick redesign, I reposted it on Twitter. It got shared around, and during the course of that week, somebody saved the picture, took it to Reddit, and made up a lie that the picture came from a designer, in which this art piece was the original version of Amari, and that the designer was unhappy with what actually was placed in the game. So I had to come on YouTube and explain that that was not the case. I drew this week. I definitely was not a developer from 6 years ago. It was kind of funny. I wasn't too mad, but I figured, I know there's a lot of back and forth going on with the game, but we might as well not add lies to the discourse. Anyway, with that out of the way, I decided after making that video that I was going to tackle 2 more characters. Second one being Dahl and the third one being De Veers. Now, one of the first eye-opening things that I saw a lot of artists saying, which really should have been second nature to me, is how a lot of the Concord designs, regardless of it having multiple different colors in the outfits, were all the same value, all the same tone. And they illustrated this by taking the designs and making them monochromatic, turning them black and white. Upon seeing this, I realized that everything really looks super muddy. I don't know why this was so brand new to me, and I suppose when I made my character designs in the past, I just subconsciously made sure that the colors were different values, and I also realized that in some instances, I didn't even really do a good job. And that formed a habit in me that when I'm making something, to make sure that I take a flat layer of the entire design, turn it black and white, just to make sure that I'm not having everything just run together in one awkward value tone. In all honesty, it's a really good practice, and unless you're doing it on purpose, like somebody wearing an all white suit or all black suit or something monochromatic, you definitely want to make sure that your values are different from each other. If not, you're not going to have a really good color balance with your characters. When I did the redesign of Amari, I didn't really have that much color variation. I just used her black of her outfit and the green. And I made sure that the black was dark enough to offset the green, which is of a higher tone. I stuck some blue in there in hindsight. I think I really started paying attention to the tips of color values, especially when I got to DAW and then De Beers, because I made sure that everything contrasted right next to one another. It's also where I started implementing the 60-30-10 rule, or as it is described, it's a guideline for color distribution in design. Now, this is generally used for interior decorating, but it could definitely be used for character designs. 60% of your character composes of one color, 30% of the character is another color, and 10% for those accents. Now, this isn't hard fast. You can add additional accents as long as it's not overbearing, but I think the 60-30-10 rule is a pretty good place to start, and it gives you a pretty solid base. You could think of characters like Naruto and a lot of other iconic characters that generally use this rule. And if you notice, the colors are definitely different in value. They don't look like mud. You can go and make any one of the images that are drawn of them monochromatic, and it would be clear as day that there is a separation of values. It also made me think about something, because I think I was implementing too much real life. Like, I was thinking, you know, if I was wearing an outfit, I might want to do a bunch of earth tones, maybe have a navy blue pants, maybe have a cream shirt, maybe my belt and my shoes could be brown of the same color, but nothing was exactly the same color. However, in character design, you want to make sure it's a little uniform. So you want to make sure those colors appear again to make a complete looking character. So I started purposely doing this from the moment I saw the examples from these videos, so that I could make sure my designs looked a little better. And you know what? It does make it harmonious. I don't know what the heck I was doing before. I was trying to, I don't know, go off on my own as far as character design went. I think I truly started tightening up that concept, especially when it got to De Beers, which I feel like is my best color-wise. Now, the designs, well, I mean, I can't say much for the decisions I made on the designs, because I just did what I thought was cool. Actually, the reception of some people liked it, some people didn't, which is completely fine. I did these designs super quick. But another thing that I learned about character design was the fact that maybe, especially for a game that has different duties for different characters, they should actually look like what they're actually for. Now, granted, I could have made Amari a little more tankier. I decided to still give her a muscle build. I was thinking about Jade Cargill when I made the design for her. With Daw, I definitely wanted him to look like he was a doctor of some kind, because he was supposed to be the health guy. As you could see, nothing on his original design indicates health whatsoever. Now, I'm not gonna lie, for De Beers, I don't even remember what her role was supposed to be, so I just gave her some generic cool outfit that I thought up, and I just distributed the colors. But going forward with my own design, it did have me at least think about outfits, matching the personality of the characters that I'm creating. If I have a calm character, maybe a more subdued outfit, a more subdued style, something a little more put together. If I have a wild character, maybe I want the outfit to be a little louder. Or, you know, in the case of these two characters here, I have my character Kira here, both of these cybernetic teens. She's a little more reserved, a little more happy-go-lucky. So I kind of made her outfit a little, you know, lax, as opposed to Wes, who has a little more tatters in his outfit, big coat. He's a little more wild looking. Now, none of these examples are perfect, but I just wanted to show you guys how the critique of something that is deemed a failure, well, not deemed a failure, it is a failure, sadly for, you know, the team that worked on it and spent $400 million allegedly, but some good can come out of it, because a lot of the critique in the art community was really helpful. And sometimes I occasionally go back to those videos. In fact, in the description, I'll drop some of the links to those videos below if you guys want to take a look, if you haven't already seen them, to look at what they picked apart and what they fixed and what they changed and why they made the decisions that they did. But overall, that's what I wanted to go over, just to showcase how something that's even a disaster can actually lead to some good lessons, especially for art, for those that are trying to get better and trying to remain consistent in their creative process. With all that being said, in the future, I'll be going over some more color examples with my own characters, as well as some other art techniques. But thank you for taking the time to check out the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.